All right, welcome everyone. My name is Laurel Grodman. I am Assistant Dean for Admissions at the Yale School of Management. I work on both our MBA admissions team as well as our Master's in Asset Management admissions team. I'm also a graduate of Yale College and the Yale School of Management MBA program. So thank you so much to the Yale Center Beijing for hosting us today. I apologize in advance to those of you who already heard me speaking for a long time in the MBA session. You'll be hearing a little bit more from me today and a little bit repetitive as we talk about the school, but we will spend the bulk of our time today talking about our Master's in Asset Management program. So welcome, everyone. So before we go into the specifics of the asset management program, I do want to start by talking about the Yale School of Management's mission to educate leaders for business and society. It means we aim to develop leaders who can think broadly about the challenges that we face in an increasingly complex world. And this really applies to all of our different degree programs. In the last session, we talked a little bit about how this pertains to our MBA program. And I mentioned briefly, I think it is really central to our asset management program as well, where our program founders, the late David Swenson, who was a longtime chief investments officer at the Yale Endowment and developer of the Yale model of endowment management, as well as our distinguished finance professor and faculty director of our program, Toby Moskowitz. They truly believe that asset management is a field in which you can do well and do good. So you can generate considerable wealth through the practice of asset management, but you can also deploy that wealth to have a positive impact on business and on society, and approach your investing career with a strong kind of ethical North Star throughout. So the Master's in Asset Management program is a relatively new one at Yale. We just brought our 5th class in this past fall. So we've had 4 graduating classes to date. So relatively new within our portfolio, but really off to a spectacular and strong start. It is a specialized master's program. So unlike an MBA program, which is a general degree program where you're learning about all different aspects of business and management and leadership, this is a specialized degree, a highly specialized degree focused on asset management and the investment space, and developed with that goal in mind to really give you a deep set of knowledge in this highly specialized area. It's a 9-month program, so it's 1 academic year. It's highly quantitatively intense. It is combining the best of academic theory and practice. So the idea is it's bringing cutting edge finance theory being developed and investigated by our faculty in the finance department at the Yale School of Management, and combining that with the best of industry practice. And I'll talk a little bit more about how that comes to life in our curriculum. It is a STEM designated program. So what that means is if you decide to work in the US after graduating from the program, you have the potential to extend that time for up to 3 years after graduation if you enter a STEM designated employment role. So that's a great benefit. And then we do offer a joint degree with our MBA program. So you can earn both an MBA and your master's in asset management in a total of 2 years. And we can talk a little bit more about that as well. So a little bit more about the curriculum. So like I said, this curriculum was developed with coursework very, very specifically in mind for the asset management program, really to prepare the future generation of leaders in the field of asset management for the skills that are required in today's jobs. So all of the required courses that you see along the top, quantitative investing, asset pricing theory, machine learning, all of these are taught, again, by leading finance faculty from the Yale School of Management. And those are coupled with the courses that you see along the bottom where you see electives, ESG investing, financial regulation, macro strategies. By and large, these elective courses are taught by industry practitioners who are using these skills in a real world setting and applying them in their day-to-day jobs. So again, meant to combine the best of academic theory and industry practice in a single curriculum. You'll see under sort of the required section something called the colloquium. This is truly a highlight of the program. It's an opportunity to hear directly from industry leaders. It could be from hedge funds or endowments or in sort of a governmental type regulatory roles. And these speakers come in to speak exclusively to the asset management cohort. So they're the only students who have access to this really sort of exclusive setting to get to hear directly from industry leaders in this space. And I think this is a real highlight of the experience for many of our students. And then the last kind of required feature of the program that I'll introduce is the practical experience requirement. So even though it's a relatively brief program, we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to put some of these skills into practice right away. So all of our students will engage in at least one kind of applied experience during their time at the School of Management. So this can be an internship, this can be assisting a professor with research, it can be taking part in a investment-based case competition. So a variety of different opportunities, again, to put that theory into practice right away. All right, so this gives you a sense just of some of the elective coursework that's available throughout the School of Management, in addition to the electives that I shared before that were developed specifically for the program. You have access to a broad set of electives at the Yale School of Management to take during kind of the elective components of your year in the program. And in addition to that, you have the opportunity to explore coursework throughout the entire university. So this can be coursework that's highly relevant to the field of asset management, maybe in the computer science or statistics department, which would be applied to your degree. Or if you have an interest in taking a course in music or a course in a language, you're welcome to do that as well during your time at Yale. It wouldn't count towards your curricular requirements, but many of our students try, to take as much advantage of Yale during the time that they're there, and will take coursework even outside of their asset management curriculum. Okay. And in terms of where this program can take you, so as I mentioned, only 4 classes have graduated. So I think we have fewer than 200 graduates from the asset management program so far, but this already gives you a sense of some of the institutions in which they have landed to date. And I think, the key here is you're actually not supposed to be able to read this chart. It is intentionally tiny, but what it's really demonstrating is all of those slices of the pie represent different kind of segments of finance that our students have gone into, or kind of finance adjacent fields. So there's no one universal path within asset management to take coming out of this program. We have students who go into the quantitative side of investing and others who go into the fundamental side. We have organizations represented on both the buy side and the sell side. We have people taking domestic careers and global careers. I'd say to date, about 2/3 of our students have chosen to work in the US after graduating from the program, and the balance have either gone back to their home country for employment or to a third destination for their post-degree employment. So we support all of these different career paths coming out of the program. So is this program right for me? We call this an early career program, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're coming directly out of college. What we think about it as more as early to your asset management career. So if you've already had deep experience at a hedge fund, this program may not be for you. But if you are looking to go into the asset management space and have started pursuing another path to date, this program might be for you. Looking at sort of the professional experience aspect of the slide gives you a sense of the current class and their professional profile. So you'll see 60% of our students are coming directly from undergrad, or it could be from a 1-year or 2-year master's program, directly have undergrad, but essentially have no work experience or coming immediately after their educational experience. The bulk of the remainder are in fact earlier in their careers, having anywhere from 1 month to 2 years of work experience, and then the balance have more than that. So it gives you a sense. It is the cohorts do tend to be earlier within their career, but I think that often has more to do with who applies to the program than a particular preference on the part of the admissions team. So you can come into the program with work or without work, but the key is early in your asset management career. In terms of academic backgrounds, we have people coming from all different fields. You'll see many of them are more sort of quantitatively or business oriented. So economics and finance, mathematics, statistics majors, computer science majors. It's not necessarily the case. We have people coming from the humanities and social sciences as well. I think what's really important, though, is that it is a quantitatively intense program, and you will greatly benefit from some level of quantitative preparation coming into the program. So you'll see the list of courses here are kind of recommended coursework coming into the program from an admissions perspective. We will look for this coursework, even though it's not a requirement. It's a benefit to have had exposure to some or all of it. So multivariable calculus, linear matrix algebra, micro stats, and computer programming languages. So again, not required for admission, but are definitely beneficial to have in terms of coming into the program. If you haven't had this exposure, or you haven't had the full kind of list of courses here, we do have what we call a summer self-study program. So it's an opportunity to get up to speed on this coursework in the summer prior to orientation in the asset management program. Okay, so in terms of how to apply, we are essentially looking to assess three things from all of the application materials that we collect from you. We're looking to understand your academic readiness, your general kind of academic performance in your undergraduate, or if you have a graduate degree, as well as your testing, with, not surprisingly, a particular eye towards your quantitative preparedness in those areas that I shared with you, and then just more generally, your quantitative readiness. And we're assessing that through your transcripts, through your testing, and then also through an academic letter of recommendation. So we'll ask for a total of 2 letters of recommendation. One of them will be from an academic setting, and the other will be from an applied setting, whether that's full-time work experience or an internship or wherever you choose to get that from. But the transcripts, the testing, and then your academic letter of recommendation will give us a sense of your academic readiness for the program. The next thing we'll look for is your professional potential. And I say potential because, again, many applicants to the program won't have long-term work experience, although some will. We'll meet you where you are. But we want to understand how you've operated in an applied setting, whether that's through internships, whether that's through work that you've done on campus, maybe research with a professor, or time in a student investment fund. There's lots of different ways to gain applied experience, but we're looking to understand where you've gained that experience to date, how you've performed there, and your potential for future professional success. So we're understanding that through your resume, through your professional letter of recommendation, as the primary sources of that. And then the third thing that we're looking for in our candidates is just an interest and passion for the field of asset management. This is a highly specific program. It's not a generalized MBA. It's not even a generalized master's in finance. It's very, very specifically oriented towards students who want to build a career in the asset management field. So we want to know that you've thought about this and that you are, you're dedicated to that pathway, and that it's an area that truly excites you. So we'll ask you an essay that's pretty much what I just said. Tell me about your interest in the field of asset management, and how you see this program fitting into your short-term and long-term plans in the space. Other components of the application. So we have a set of video questions where you'll hear from a member of our admissions team asking you a randomized question, and you'll have, I think it's 60 seconds or so to deliver a response. It's just another way for us to interact with you and hear how you are able to articulate yourself on your feet. It's also a way for us to gauge English language ability. We do have an English language testing requirement as well, a TOEFL, DET, or IELTS score. And I guess the last thing I'll touch upon is an interview. So we don't have a capacity to interview everyone, but we will interview candidates who we're interested in moving forward in the application process. And you'll speak with a member of our either admissions team or the broader asset management community within our school. It could be a member of the career development office or someone involved in programmatic management, but you'll have an opportunity to, both share your interest in the field of asset management, answer some questions about your application, and then, of course, ask us questions as well. We have one application deadline for this program, January 8th. So if you're interested in applying, you'll need to apply by that deadline, and then everyone will receive a decision by the end of March. The last thing I'll mention before I open it up to any questions that you might have is that, as I mentioned before, we do have a joint degree program with our MBA. It is a 2-year program, so it's the exact same length as our MBA program. You're able to graduate with 2 degrees during that time. And the way that that works is you'll spend the first year in the MBA core curriculum, and then your second year, where ordinarily you would do elective courses in the MBA, you would spend that completing the asset management curriculum, and again, graduate in 2 years with the 2 degrees. It's 2 separate application processes. You would have to apply to each one of those separately. You can either apply separately right now from outside the school, or you can apply in your first year of the MBA program to the Master's in Asset Management program, and then complete that program in the second year. I'll thank everyone for being here today, both here in person and through our live stream. And a big thank you to the Yale Center Beijing again for hosting us here.